Well, hello there, this is D, and welcome to episode 138 of the Benzo Free Podcast. How you doing? Kind of figuring everything out here and trying to figure out how this is working. I think I'm coming through. I have a earpiece in here to kind of pick up a little bit of the audio to make sure my voice is coming through. I got a backup recorder. I got a camera looking at me. I got really funky lights behind me. And it's kind of crazy. I'm new to this. I'm new to this software. I've done some live streams before with the Benzo Free Podcast. But I'm new to the new software. I got a new online software I'm trying out. I'm testing out right now, recording through my soundboard and all this different gadgetry. And then I got this new studio software that's going to help me switch screens and do overlays and stuff. And that'll get up and running. It's not quite running yet. And last time I did one of these a week ago, although I know you didn't hear it because I didn't release it. It was recorded within the Uneven community, and the audio quality was just not acceptable at all. So I just kind of let that one go. And so I'm now recording episode 138 all over again, and here we are. I have not done a video podcast episode for a very long time. And I don't know. It's kind of fun. So we're going to get back into that and see what we can do. I am doing this live through the software, through Uneven, although I don't know if anybody's going to be on here to join me. A few people said they might. I only posted it today, so I didn't give anybody real time. And it's kind of complicated. And I also know some people don't like to be part of these things because of some anxiety and other issues. As you might understand, that's kind of who we are, and so we deal with that to some degree. But I wanted to start to do actual shows within our community. This is what the community is set up for. So we're going to record a lot of these things live within the community. Some of them will be released out as podcast episodes, either on Benzo Free or on Uneven. And some of them will stay within the community and not be released, so that's why joining the community makes sense. Before we get into our topics today and what we're going to talk about, I do want to mention a couple things. I have promoted our Uneven community lately, and I'm not about to stop that really quickly. So I do want to let everybody know that Uneven did go live October 1st in a soft launch, pre-launch, however you want to call it. And we will be having an official launch in January, but this is the time to come join us if you want to. Please come join us and check us out. You know, as I'm doing this is the high-tech stuff. I'm going to share my screen too and see if I can do that. Let's see if I can share here. Share screen. And now if you're just hearing the audio, don't worry, there's not much you're missing out on. This is mostly just making sure I can do this for videos in the future. There will be a video component to some of this. There we go. Hopefully you all are seeing that. And be a video component at some point to all this. But still, our podcasts are primarily audio only. So if you're listening to this on a podcast carrier, don't worry, you're not going to miss much. And if I think there's something key, I'll try to describe it. So don't feel too bad. But on YouTube, you'll be able to see the video. And of course, if you're in the Uneven community, you can see the video too. And these will all be posted within the community in addition to our normal YouTube channels, normal channels, YouTube, our website, and our podcast carriers like Apple, Spotify, and all those out there. So anyway, this is the site. For those who haven't been here yet, please come check it out. I'd love to have you all see it. We have all different spaces. One of the things that Uneven is built on is this concept of spaces. It's these subgroups within the community, and it's great because it allows people to gather in smaller groups and talk about specific things like anxiety or benzodiazepines, or we just added a new space on antidepressants. We just added a new one on antidepressants a week ago, and that's already has several members that have joined in and are starting to talk, and we got conversations going there, and we'll be adding more like that. And let's see if I can expand. That's minimize. How do I expand you? See, this is the funky stuff. Anyway, I just got rid of that. So let's stop sharing and reshare one more time. Don't worry, if you aren't seeing this because you're on audio only, you're not missing much because I don't know how to drive. But here we go, and it's still kind of a smaller screen. There we go. So this is what Uneven looks like. There's all kinds of stuff on here. We have pages on anxiety. We got pages on everything else. We have all kinds of details on these information on pages. We have discovery screens where you can see all the different featured events and highlighted things going on and different. We do a lot of poll questions, which really has been great. We start up a lot of conversations. I throw a bunch out there, but now many of the members and our guides are also throwing out conversational instigators. Conversations and getting those going, and it's been great because it creates all this dialogue, and we talk about anxiety and meds and benzos and antidepressants and just life and questions about life, and we have all different areas. Like I mentioned, the spaces. This is all built on spaces, and so you can see a few of the spaces here. There's a lot more. I am using a test account right now for this, and that is Murphy's account. If you click here, you can see Murphy pop up. This is Murphy's. Murphy is my dog, for those who don't know. I created a test account on here for Murphy, and Murphy even has his own space within the community, and it's Murphy's smile space. So I don't want to make this whole thing about uneven. Don't worry, I'm not going to. Let me just finish my spiel. Yeah, you kind of do the spiel. Finish my spiel, and we'll get right back into content for the podcast. But now's the time to come join us if you'd like to. We would love to have you come join us. Right now, it's still completely free to join the Uneven community all the way through the end of the year, December 31st. So you get 2 whole months, almost 2 whole months still left of this podcast for free. And no credit card needed. Just come here, go to our landing page. And in fact, let me log out of Murphy here real quick and you see what our landing page looks like. If you just type in uneven.life, you will come to this page here, which is our landing page. It tells you about the site, what you can find here, what we're about, and also the benefits of joining today. And then if you just choose the only plan that's on here, which is the founding members plan, join in, you put in your name, your email, boom, you're in the community, and we're glad to have you. So that's exciting stuff. I love that, and I'm really excited about it. And I hope you come join us. Right now, it's totally free to join. If you join now, you're part of a founding member, which means you get discounts going forward. And you're also part of the people who help to make decisions and help us plan this out. So you get to have a voice in what we're doing here. And a lot of these groups are still really small. I've been in some of the groups that have only been a few people. Other ones we've had 10 or so, but we're just getting started. And so now's a good time to come join us because it's a lot of one-on-one attention from myself, from the guides, from the other members. And you're part of building this out, and you become one of those, like I said, founders or founding members of Uneven. And I know we appreciate it, though. So please, check us out. URL is uneven.life. Again, it's just uneven.life. Come check it out. Come join us online. I think we're building something pretty great, and we're growing rapidly. And I'm excited about that. And so that's it for the spiel. I will now take this off the screen. So for those of you who are listening to this only, don't worry. All you're seeing is me with my cap on and my beard, sitting in my basement in what's going to be our studio. If I get out of the way, you will see behind me here is this green lit backdrop. I got 2 drum sets. Over here is a acoustic, and over here is an electronic. I've been a drummer for years, so I just have those, and I go play those, and a bunch of junk laid around it because this is going to be our studio. I still got to clean it all out. I want to paint the ceiling. I'm going to put some drapes around so it all has the same backdrop. And we'll get the lighting figured out, and we'll put some sofas maybe in there and bookshelf. I might even leave one of the drum sets in there just because it's me and it's part of what I do. But it's going to be a relaxing setting. It's going to be a setting that hopefully makes people feel comfortable and will come be part of it. So I think it's pretty good. Oh, let's see here. So going to in portrait. So it looks like we're having some technical problems. I don't know. I don't know if we are or not. So again, figuring out these bells and whistles, but ignore that. So let's get on to the podcast. It's been a while since I've recorded a podcast, and I'm excited to do this. I am really happy to be here. I'm going to record more of these coming up. I've been doing about 1 a month lately, and I still will do the Benzo Free podcast 1 a month, maybe more often. And of course, the Uneven podcast, I'm going to try to get those out 1 a week if I can and see what we can do. Get back to that. It's been a while since I posted one of those too, but I've taken a lot of time setting this up and getting me online so we can kind of have a studio. So as I build this out, this will get a little more polished. The really exciting thing about this to me is right now, the audio quality, the video quality, the backdrop, the setting for this, the content, the people, it's just me right now. All this is as bad as it's going to get. I'm hoping. Meaning that we're going to keep improving this. So I'm working on improving this every day. And this new software I have here, I'm trying to get that set up. I just got a live studio setting on my new computer. I finally broke down. I got a new computer for the first time in 12 years. My old computer finally stopped being supported and it wouldn't do anything anymore, so I had to get something new. Anyway, that's going to allow me to change screens and do some overlays and talk live on some sites and stuff and show videos if we need to, and we can do a lot of stuff. But still, I want the content of this podcast still to be mostly focused on the audio content, and that's still what's going to be the core of it. So if you listen to us on a podcast carrier, no worries. That's still our primary focus. This is a podcast for that type of venue, I guess might be the thing to say. So, yeah, I don't know. There's nobody joined in, which I'm guessing because I saw somebody trying to join in might be that I didn't set it up right. So, which kind of happens sometimes. But we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out as we go forward. Like I said, I'm using a new software, and it might be where I didn't quite get the setting right. But you know what? I'm going to do something here, and what I can do is I can always edit this section out if I need to. I'm going to see if I can send this to the one person on email who's trying to get in here, and send them the link and see if this works. So guess what? You're going to be part of that live with me. I'm trying to pull up my email here real quick and do that, which this is my old computer. I haven't switched over to do production off the new computer yet, so it is really old and trying to do a live stream and bring up Outlook at the same time, and it's having a heart attack trying to do so. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to do that, so... Anyway, as that's slowly coming up, I just wanted to... Oh, there we go. Hang on. Let me see if I can send this out really quick. And send an email. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it's really slow. I may just take this section out, but we'll see. Okay. So I sent an email. Hopefully that person gets that and can still log in. I wonder if the link that I'm using is no longer valid on here. Let me see here. I'm going to try to get to it from this link here. No, mine's going in. Huh. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So we'll see. But let's move on to the podcast. So either that's going to stay in, which I've been doing a lot lately, or I'm going to edit that out. I don't know. So just to let you know, one more thing on Uneven. We are up to 91 members right now, which is awesome. Our goal is 100 by the end of the year, so I think we're going to surpass that just fine, which is great. We've had over 7,000 interactions on this site already. Oh, it's been great. People posting their own polls and questions, people posting their own pictures and supportive messages, and a lot of people commenting on each other, and it's been great. So November is our promotional push, so I'm going to be doing more outreaches. In fact, I'm doing some podcast interviews this month that are coming. We're getting a roundtable set up that is coming. So much that's going to be happening with the community and with the podcast tied in. So it's an exciting time. So please come join us at uneven.life. Moving on, let's talk about a few things. Benzos, that's what we do here. So benzos. You've heard of those, haven't you? I think you have. I have to. It's time for me to slow down for that with you for a second. I'll tell you one thing I like about this community is I get to hear from you again a lot more than I used to. I used to get a lot of emails in through the podcast, and I loved that, and I got a lot of good feedback, and then I'd email you back. But now we have our own community and chat room, and so we get some almost real-time conversations, and we have several events on their live events where we're on video and talking to each other and being supportive and helping each other out. And that's really, really helping me get energized again to do this. So I'm excited about that and about this podcast going forward. I know it's been a staple for some of you out there for a long time. Other people have just found it, and I welcome you. I'm so glad you are here. I get excited about this community and other things going on, but it's not that I forget about where you all are. I think if you listen to me long enough, you know that I don't forget that, because I'm still in and out of it periodically, so I do understand what's going on. But I do get caught up in my own world, as we all do, and I forget sometimes until I talk to somebody and realize what that person's going through, and it's kind of crazy. I'm writing down a note right now, so if you hear some scribbling, that's me. I do think of things I want to mention, and so I write down a note that, hey, in this part, let's talk about that. I think there's a lot of factors going on. When I mentioned one thing with that community was we created an antidepressant space. And this is something that I've been asked to do many times, was to speak to antidepressants and to speak to that on the podcast. But our podcast was benzo free. It was focused on benzos, and that's what it's about. And also that was my knowledge base. I wouldn't say expertise. I don't want to say, but I mean, I've been around here and I've been doing this for almost, I guess 8 years of my 10 years, or more than that, probably about 10 years, including writing a book and podcast and co-chairing organizations and on several research teams. So I've learned a few things on benzos. I think I've learned some stuff, and I'm happy to be able to share that. But I'm not as educated on antidepressants. I've experienced them briefly myself, and I've worked with a lot of people who were polydrugged, term I use. I know it's not really used commonly, and people are on multiple medications, multiple psychiatric medications, and how hard that is for them. And I feel for them, and I really do. And I know I've been wanting to do something that had more crossover, and this gave me that opportunity with the community, because I can create a space for antidepressants and create a space for benzos, create a space for generalized anxiety, and people can join multiple spaces, and they can be part of it. So, and you can just join the spaces that fit you. And I think that's working out really well, and the structure is great. I'm really excited to have this structure, and people are recommending spaces. In fact, I have probably 5 or 6 I'm going to hopefully be adding in the next month or so from suggestions of spaces to have on this. We have not only these overall category spaces like that, and see, here I am talking about the community again. I can't help it, because this is where I am. But let me get back to antidepressants, and to that topic. What it helps me reminds me of is where people really are right now and where they are. And sometimes I say, hey, let's do a live stream, let's go gather. And then I'm like, oh, great, we're all going to get together and live stream. And then only 3 people show up for one of them, say towards the beginning. And 2 are off camera. And this is, totally fair. I mean, it makes sense. It's like with the anxiety and the fear and everything else going on, that's all some people can do. And some people are really struggling in the morning when I have an easing anxiety weekly live stream I do. And we get on there and we just start talking about things and talking about what we're doing. And it reminds me of where some people are and how difficult this still is for some people. And that even for those who isn't difficult, for many of us still, public speaking or being on video is just a hard thing to do. And I have to be reminded of that sometime. And I'm glad I have that one-on-one to remind me of that. But I tell you, it really feeds my soul that when we get in a group and we just start chatting or do one of the Q&As that we're doing or whatever, and we start out and everybody's just, having trouble even being on camera sometimes, or talking, or just need to walk away for a while, and everything is okay there. That's all fine. But that most of the time by the end, people are feeling better. And that makes me feel good. I'm not saying I did it, because I didn't really do it. A lot of times it's the other people in these gatherings, kind of like a support group, who are helping. But to have that kind of place and to have that kind of that reminder that, hey, this is, this is going on. And my last couple setbacks I had in the last couple years have been good reminders, bad reminders, but good reminders of what other people are going through and still going through. And sometimes I do wonder if that's somebody, depending on your belief system, but for me, somebody upstairs or wherever who's saying, you need to stay in it. I need you to stay in it. I need you to be passionate about what you do. I need you to still understand what everybody's going through, and the only way to do that is to do it yourself. And maybe I'm needed to be here. Maybe somebody needs me to be here. I don't know. I'm not trying to put importance on me at all, because I think there's so many people providing good support. I'm not saying what I'm doing is anything special. What I'm saying is sometimes you got to put meaning to the pain, Sometimes you got to have a reason why this happened. Last 6 months of nerve pain, there's got to be a reason why I went through that. I couldn't swallow a year and a half ago. There's got to be a reason why I had to go in through those procedures and everything and figure out where I was. There's got to be something to that. There's got to be something. And I think we're all looking for that reason. I don't think I'm alone here. I really don't. I think so many of us are looking for the why. The why. Why did this happen to me? And I think I'm just looking here at my phone. It beeped at me, but okay. I was making sure it wasn't like somebody texting me trying to get into this to listen to it. I don't know. I do have some chat here. Oh, that's my chat. Okay. Wow, people chatted. Oh, no, it's me chatting. But I think a lot of people are struggling. And most of those people have no place to turn. Or if they do, it's not really been a functional place to turn, or someplace that's been, and maybe we can provide something like that for them. And that's why we do this. That's why we do the podcast. That's why I do the community and stuff like that, is because people have said it helps. So why not do it, And I'm now building a community where we will start charging some fees for the use of that coming in January. And that's a way to hopefully turn this into a career for me, that I can stick with it long term, because I like doing it. I need to do it, but I can't do it free any longer. I've been doing that for 6 or 7 years now, totally free, and it's been a long time. So I think it's time to do that. And like I said, time to start reimbursing other people, our guides and stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to, I don't know where I was going with that, but mostly to say the community is really good for me because it helps me stay in it a little bit and be reminded of where everybody is, so I can be both a support and a voice for you all who are unable to kind of speak out on your own. And many people aren't. Many people are just suffering in silence and isolation. And I, for some reason, never really had the public speaking fear. It was never one of mine. And so I can do this. Even during benzo withdrawal, I could do this to a degree. And that's why I'm here. One thing came up, this topic I wanted to talk about. One thing came up on our site, and I thought it was an interesting topic. And it's coming back to the whole SUD versus physical dependence. And this is an interesting topic. And I wanted to talk on it briefly. It came up a lot when we were creating the benzodiazepine peer training through the Benzodiazepine Action Work Group. If you want to know more about that group, it's at benzoaction.org. And I was a co-chair over there for 3 years and project lead on this peer training program as it was being developed and now still being taught. And we might even teach it here within organization. I'm looking at doing that. Maybe that would be one of the courses that we teach coming after the first of the year here within Uneven. But as we're creating all that and setting all that up, a lot of our audience was a great audience for us to speak to, and that was people in the recovery community. So people dealing more with addiction, or what we now call substance use disorder. So when I say SUD, I'm referring to substance use disorder, which was typically called addiction in the past, but because that term is stigmatizing, we don't use it as much anymore. Whatever your thoughts on that, I'm not making any judgments. I'm just saying I'm going to use SUD because I've been trained to do that. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think any word can become stigmatizing, and eventually we're going to run out of words. But I also get it. And that's one of the points here is that in our training, we were training people on, hey, there's this thing on benzodiazepines going on that most people don't know, and especially people in the recovery community don't really know about this, and doctors don't know. And we have different professionals that would come in this course, and also some caregivers and some other people who have been harmed by benzos. We had a good mix of people coming through this class, and still do. But we got some pushback through it, and it was interesting how we handled that pushback, and I think, and also what that pushback came from, and that was from the recovery community of, we are presenting this class as benzodiazepines have this unique issue. And labeling them as SUD or addicts is not effective. And it's not. But at the same point, my point here is it's not accurate, okay? And I think most of you in this community understand that. But it's not accurate because, not because we're trying to stigmatize the SUD community or the people who have been previously labeled as addicts, because they have their own issue. And I believe it's actually an issue that they have to deal with. And I believe it's a disease. And it's, I've seen it. And I've seen it, I've experienced it myself. I had family members who have dealt with substance use issues. And I know how strong that is, how powerful it is, and how hard it is for some people to counter that and conquer it. And that's just it, is we don't want to diminish that group. At the same point, in historically speaking, people suffering with benzodiazepine dependence have been thrown into that group and been sent to rehab, detox centers, AA meetings, and other, prescription drug 12-step programs and everything. And it hasn't worked well. I'm not saying it hasn't worked for anybody, but it hasn't worked well for most people because it is a different condition. Most people who struggle from benzodiazepine's effects are dealing with what we used to call physical dependence. I think we're now going to call it physiologic dependence. It doesn't matter. It's dependence instead of substance use disorder or addiction. And that's important because there is a difference. Okay, and there's a difference in how you treat that person. There's a difference in how that person is. Most of the people we deal with have been prescribed the drug by a physician and taken the drug as prescribed. Most of those people don't have the cravings that are typical with SUD. Most people don't have the behaviors that are typical with SUD. It is clearly, for most people, a different condition. And of course, a lot of people with the prescription side of things would also get irritated because they don't want to be labeled an addict. Of course, neither do the substance use disorder people because the term addict had become a negative term. But I'm always trying to come down and realize this isn't about the labeling. It's not about the terminology. It's about the facts. And the facts are physical dependence or physiological dependence is its own issue. It's recognized. It's medical. It's there. This is something that's real. We're not making this up. And it is different than typical substance use disorder issues. And that part has often been overlooked and mishandled and misrepresented and miseducated. And it needs to be changed so that people who have taken these drugs and aren't dealing with the SUD side, and there are a few, but most aren't, still get help with these severe complications of dependence. And that came up, and it's one of those things I wanted to mention because I think we've talked about that briefly here and there on the podcast and things that have come up, but it's something I want to make sure I throw out there that it's, I don't know. I think it's interesting. So that's that. So if you ever run into that or you have those questions, or if we want to talk about it more on our site, our community, we can talk about that. And I'm going to throw it out as a question because we're going to start talking about this. It came up from one of our guides, brought that up and brought up some of the different answers. And God, we had some great conversations, and I think it's going to continue. And that's what I love with this site is we have these great give and take conversations on this type of thing. So, but I run into that, and I think it's so hard when you're dealing with mental health and the word stigma and stigmatizing behavior. And there's a lot of, controversy tied in with all that stuff and everything, and how you treat somebody with substance use disorder. And I've been around it more lately because our group was part of a consortium that dealt with prescription drug abuse. And so I've been exposed to it more, and I understand it a little better. And I'm a little more sympathetic to their cause and their plight, and I'm glad I am, because sometimes you have to be around this to get to understand it. And just to make sure those folks with SUD and deal with SUD understand we're not differentiating between that and benzos and benzo withdrawal and bind because we think one group's better than the other. That's not what this is about. One group is not better than the other or anything. It's just this is a different condition with different problems and different solutions. I think that pretty much sums it up. So that was that topic. I also wanted to talk a little bit about triggering content. See, this is a great podcast because these are things that are coming up in the community. And I want to mention this really quickly because this is my chance to chat with you and just kind of hang out and be part of this. But one of the things we've done within the uneven community that I did consciously, and I know it differentiates a little bit from many other support sites. I didn't want to be a quote-unquote censored site, a quote-unquote, I don't know the best term for it. I'm sure there's a term I'm just totally missing here. But I didn't want to be a place where we're suppressing speech on our site because we're afraid of triggering people. And again, I don't like the term triggering. It's not, but be afraid of upsetting people or sending them into a negative spiral. And that does happen. And that is a concern. And I'm saying that's valid. But I don't know that always works to avoid all the time. So in our site, one of the things we mentioned, and I mentioned this in our guidelines, they're all there publicly for anybody that comes to our site can read our guidelines and know where we stand and even suggest alterations to them. We welcome input. If we can find a better way to state things or maybe something we didn't think about, we welcome the input on our guidelines. But one of the things that we mentioned on there is that we want people to have the freedom of expression on our site because that freedom of expression is so key. This needs to be a place. One of the things here, this is the best way I labeled it. I labeled this in our guidelines as our community is a friendly place. And the reason I'm saying this is not, again, I'm not trying to keep hammering at the uneven community, but it's where my head's been, and it's feeding my thoughts on the benzo community and on benzodiazepines, and that's why this is happening. But I called our site in one of those guidelines a friendly space, and that's different than a safe space. I don't think we're a safe space, and a safe space is, to me, too limiting. It means anything that might possibly disturb, upset, or offend somebody can't be said, and it's like, well, then what can be said? Because eventually you're going to run out of things that can be said. And also, I don't know that it's truly helping anybody. Now, let me put a caveat here. I do believe there are times in our lives when we need to shut out external stimuli for a while to heal. And I think benzo withdrawal and bind is one of those times at a period of time, at a segment. So I'm saying, maybe for 6 months or 9 months. I did it for 5 years. I tuned out the news for 5 years. So I'm talking about myself here, so please don't take any offense to this. But it definitely is that. And we're looking at maybe creating a space that is a little more protected on our site that people can, in that state, can be in that space that is more protected. And we've had that recommended to us, and we're looking at that. But I do think for most of us, we want to get back. We want to get back to life. I hate saying normal life because what is a normal life? But we want to get back to life. We want to get back into life. And part of that is taking steps. And part of those steps is being exposed to things. And sometimes on our site, we are going to be exposed to some terminology, some thoughts, some ideas that are going to be difficult. So what we did instead was we created a friendly space, meaning that we asked people to lead with kindness and respect on our space. And I think that's good. I think that's good in the world in general, to lead with kindness and respect. If we fall back on that, everything else is grand. But we're going to have some differing opinions. We're going to have some opinions that, somebody else might think are offensive or upsetting, or especially with the benzo stories and with, talking about symptoms and stuff, that can really upset people sometimes. And it's difficult. So we're still figuring that out. But we're not going to be a place that tells everybody they can't speak. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying we're right. I'm not saying we're wrong. I'm saying this is a different approach. And I've seen people with, new sites coming out and sites that have already been there who are, stating this is a safe space. This is a protected space. This is a space where you're not going to be, upset. And ours is not that. We might have a space within this, and I'm open to that, and I'm open to creating that. I'm talked to a couple people that are interested in it, and maybe we'll create one of our subspaces as that. And it would be like an approvals place where we would protect it a little bit from, outside influence. And for those people that are in that spot, that makes sense. But the philosophy around this is one of the reasons I'm bringing this up, because this community, there's a lot in it that is coming from my own philosophy about mental health. I mean, I've been dealing with this stuff for a while. And I developed my own opinions, as have everybody else. As has everybody else. But even in such a heightened, God, it's, 2 days from an election. So we're in a very heightened state right now in this world, regardless of which way you lean. Or don't even lean. I mean, some people are extremely on different sides of it. Some people just lean on different sides. Some people are kind of in the middle and, don't know. But regardless of all that, I still believe that in our core centers, most of us aren't that different. I think most of us want the same basic things. We just have different ways that we think we should go about it. And I do wonder if having a place where we're exposed to some of that is good. I think sometimes if we're totally in a safe space for too long, we forget how to function in the real world. And I don't think that's healthy. So I'm trying it out. It may be a total failure. I don't think it will be, but it may be a total failure. But we're trying to create a community where people can be free to speak their mind and even say, we even have one space that's called opinion. I created one space called opinion, which actually you can come and say your controversial opinion, even if it's politics, even if it's something else, as long as it's done with kindness and respect, meaning you can debate an idea, but we ask you not to attack the person. That's it. I mean, some of these things are simple, and maybe I am incredibly naive, and I know I am, and this is going to crash, but so far, it's been working pretty well. And as we expand, there'll be some hiccups and there'll be some problems, but we'll see what happens. But as far as healing from benzos goes, and the reason I'm bringing this up, and I brought this up many times, it's about, breaking outside that box and expanding that bubble, that box that you find yourself trapped in, that we have to, at some point, find a way to get back into life. And I've spoken about that many times on my show. And with an election coming up and all the anxiety, oh my God, I think there's a lot of anxiety out there. I don't care what side you're on, you're feeling it. I know I'm feeling it. I'm sure other people are feeling it. It's like so many people in the U.S., and I know some of you are overseas, but so many people in the U.S., are feeling like it's, this is everything. All the, everything, all the cards are on the table. This is it. I don't think it has to be that. I'm hoping it's not that. I'm hoping whatever happens, we find a way to still get along and work together and make this country a better place. I'm hopeful, and I hope that's what happens. So anyway, I don't want to keep rambling on too long, and I'm going to close this down here. But I just wanted to let you know I'm here. We're going to have another event coming up pretty soon. A lot more podcasts, I'm hoping. I'm going to start recording more of these. I'm going to change the studio, and I'm going to get things better and things worked out better. So I'm hoping it all works out for you. So But mostly, I just want to say take care of yourself. I'll be back on here soon. We're going to do some more specific content. This one was mostly just for me to catch back up with you and let you know what's going on and where I've been. And I've been mostly on the site just trying to get things worked out in the studio and getting things moving forward, but we're working hard. And we're here, and we're not going anywhere. So hang in there. More's coming soon. All right. And on that note, keep calm, taper slowly, and take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Hey, this is Dee. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out our podcast. I do need to remind everyone that this podcast is for informational purposes only and should never be considered medical, psychological, or professional health advice of any kind. You can read our full disclaimer on our website at easinganxiety.com/disclaimer. Also, if you or someone you know is dealing with significant mental health issues, please seek professional help. Resources can be found in our show notes and on our website at easinganxiety.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and remember, keep calm, taper slowly, and take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.